Got a question about question stems. What are question stems and what are their categories? So a question stem is that short phrase appearing after a stimulus in logical reasoning, for example. So you have the paragraph, which is the argument or the stimulus. Then you have the short question stem saying something like, which one of the following is required by the argument? Which would be like, which one of the following assumptions is required by the argument, or which one of the following must be true on the basis of the argument above? So that is called a question stem, and they're most often referred to, let's say, in logical reasoning, where you have around 15 different question stem types, like strengthen, weaken, must be true, conclusion, flaw, necessary assumption, sufficient assumption, evaluate the argument, parallel reasoning, and so on. And these are worth studying because a weaken question is asking for something quite different from a flaw question. A necessary assumption is asking for something very different from a sufficient assumption question. And so it's worth becoming proficient in knowing exactly what these different question stem types are asking for so that you can evaluate the argument from the proper perspective. And so one of the earlier phases in my LSAT study schedules is learning the basics, L in laser, learning accuracy, sections, exams, and review. L is for learning the theory, which is the basics of what are the different question types on the LSAT. What is an ordering game? What is a grouping game? What is a strengthening question? What is a weakening question? What is a main idea question in reading comp versus what is a detail-oriented question in reading comp? So they're asking for different things, and part of being good at the LSAT is knowing what they're asking you to do. Because a lot of times they will give you the right answer to the wrong question as a trap. Like for necessary assumption question, they will throw in there a sufficient assumption as a tempting wrong answer because they're very sneaky people, and they will trip up a lot of students by doing so. So it's your job to stay laser focused on the task at hand so that you can better evaluate the argument properly. And so in my study plans, I lay out a process for you to go about this systematically so that you're always learning the basics of a given question type before doing several problems of that type. And so I actually have a page on my website where I list for you really hundreds of logical reasoning questions organized by type, specifically by question stem type, so that you can do a bunch of flaw questions in a row and become proficient in solving what flaw questions are asking you to do. So I've laid that out there. It's also linked within my study plans. So I'll say basically, read this article on this question type, then watch my video on that same type, then do a couple dozen problems of that type out of the actual official LSAT prep tests. And by doing so, you drill and deepen your understanding of what that question type is asking you to do, so that when you see it in the broad mix of a logical reasoning section where they're throwing at you a variety of types, one after the other, like dodgeball, you can handle each one because you've become so deeply proficient in what it is that they're asking you to do. And so here's a link to those weekly study schedules as well, if you're looking for a general sense of what my frameworks are like under this laser approach to LSAT studying. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.